You're a grown man! He's a robot cat! Pull yourself together! Seriously.
Hi. I'm Bobby. I am a robot cat. Welcome to your community news. First order of business, Dottie Morgan issues a statement in response to the recent fundraiser allegations. The other party has now been openly named, so I shall not be redacting. Let us have a look. In regards to the Super Chats lie, I did not steal money from a child's Christmas. We held an Amazon wishlist stream for Megan's daughter. I had also said I would send half of my pay from YouTube when I got it on December 21st. During the month of December a few people donated Super Chats and said it was for Megan. My pay from YouTube on the 21st of December was $153.71. In the meantime, my fiancé has had multiple health issues and has been off work on medical leave since Thanksgiving. If anyone knows anything about short-term disability, it only pays 55% of his salary. So by mid-December, we were waiting for his case to be approved, which equaled no pay. Megan's Amazon wish list went extremely well and she knew that I was beginning to struggle financially. She told me to not send her any money. I thanked her and told her I would pay her the money when my fiancé went back to work and we were in a better place financially. We didn't have a Christmas this year due to lack of income and paying bills. Any Super Chats made in December do not get paid to me until January, the 21st specifically. Meanwhile, Mike's health deteriorated more, and he still hasn't gone back to work yet. He is passing out randomly and the doctors are trying to determine reason. It has happened at least 10 times over the last month. His company has also changed STD insurers, who are horrible and are dragging their feet, and making Mike and the doctors jump through hoops. He hasn't gotten any payments in over a month. January 21st rolls around. Megan and I talk every day, she knows the financial struggles we are having. We once again agree to send the money once Mike goes back to work. I barely make any money doing YouTube. I made a whole whopping $1,076 for the whole year of 2021. That's less than $100 a month. Please stop spreading lies about this. This is between Megan and I and we know where we stand. I will make good on the payment as soon as I can. In the meantime, I have quit the one remaining Dart League we are in to help save money. We have become homebodies. To the people who still support me, thank you so much. I love you all. But the hate has become overwhelming. I do not know when I will return to YouTube. I have permanently deleted my Twitter, an account I've had over 12 years. This has all become too much for me. YouTube is no longer fun. Those who know how to get a hold of me elsewhere, you know where to find me. Well, I should like to make a point that I am a drama channel. And I add additional information as it becomes available. So, for the tweaking little house mouse in the shadows of the land of misfit YouTubers, I did not throw Dottie under any bus. I simply shared current dramas. And, now I have shared her side. On my own time. Perhaps once you all realize I am not controlled by anyone, we shall all find a happy medium. Never mind. Moving on. Many have requested that I react to a recent video by Uncivil Law. I saved the upload and we shall see it together.
Anyways, so let's discuss this. All right, so Katie Joy Paulson, without a crystal ball herself, has done something that might, potentially, looks likely to be a problem. She has apparently interfered with a contract. Tortiously interfered with a contract, one might say.
Well, aren't you a jolly old chap? This should be quite interesting.
Now, you might want to know, what is tortious interference with a contract? Well,
indeed I do.
I will quote from the Restatement of Torts, which says the following. Intentional interference with performance of a contract by a third person is one who intentionally and improperly interferes with the performance of a contract between another and a third person.
Oh my. Do go on.
By inducing or otherwise causing the third person not to perform the contract, is subject to liability to the other for pecuniary loss, and resulting to the other from the failure of the third person to perform the contract. That's a lot of words. Let me restate that slightly.
My God.
All right, so what's
Thanks,
tortious interference?
mate. Tis a
You
lot.
know of a contract that exists between two people. You go and interfere with that contract. And it says improperly. Well, what does it mean by improperly? Well, for example, there's a whole lot of ways you can interfere with a contract properly. By, for example, being a competitor in the business, just generally, right? If I know that if I know you have a deal with someone to do X, and I'm also in the same business, then I might be taking away your customers. That's not improper. That's just business, right? So you need to be doing it improperly. Normally, what we look for to find improperness is some sort of underlying motive or some sort of improper reason.
So, being a bitter old hag with a vendetta would be a grand example
to interfere. So that's kind of the thing we're looking for. Then the contract dissolves. The contract dissolves and people are hurt financially. That's tortious interference with a contract, okay, in short. All right, so what do we got? Well, we come from this from Instagram. We get this from Katie Joy Paulson Without a Crystal Ball's website herself.
I am so chuffed Weaver Barrister is speaking on this.
So this is from her page. All right, so here's the thing. Without a Crystal Ball says the following. Jessica Seawald posted a new video containing sponsored content from Native, a skin and body care brand. Okay, so what do we know right away? There's a contract between Jessica and Native. And we know that Without a Crystal Ball knows that because she says she knows that.
I like this guy. Quite to the point.
She says it's sponsored content by Native. She knows there's a contract between specifically these people. Okay? All right. The company promotes an inclusive brand that accepts all people. I don't know if Native knows about Jessica's husband, who incidentally is not Jessica, recently posting a video that's anti-LGBTQ.
I sense a bit of snark here.
In the video, he told people to pray away their feelings and not act out. Now, this is a bit of a problem because, first of all, we're not even informing on Jessica, which raises its own set of problems. We're informing on Jessica's husband.
Guilt by association.
Right? As a way to cancel her. Right? So, yeah, this is totally irrelevant to the contract because they have a contract with Jessica, not Jessica's husband. So there's that. That's a whole set of problems.
I do wonder if this is beginning to catch up with dear Catherine.
Practices like this are harmful to the LGBT community and lead to self-deletion thoughts and self-deletion by LGBT youth. That's debatable. They also don't appear to be anti-woman nor for child, which is curious because Jessica's family promotes blanket training and uses a rod to discipline their children.
If you missed my video yesterday, Catherine has been accusing the Duggar girls of this for a long time.
I've reached out to Native for a comment on these details and haven't heard back. I might have said Jessica or something. Jessa Seawald. She's a Duggar. Oh yeah, she's a Duggar. Okay, she's one of the Duggar people, which, I don't care either way.
So much same. LOL.
Yeah, Jessa. I might have said her name wrong, but it's Jessa Seawald. Okay, fine. All right, so we've got so what do we have here? We have a communication from Without a Crystal Ball saying a couple things, right? I am aware this contract exists between specifically these people. They have a contractual relationship. I, a third party, am going to contact one of the parties in an effort to induce them to break the contract.
Catherine's ego always overpowers common sense.
We have a second comment from Without a Crystal Ball. Native responded to our questions about Jessa Seawald representing their brand. Native promotes inclusivity and acceptance of all people. We shared that both Ben and Jessa have repeatedly made homophobic statements and directed them to a video by Ben, who's not Jessa.
Thank you for driving this point home.
Telling people to pray away they're gay. They said they had no idea about her background and have no plans to work with her in the future. Any company that supports LGBTQ has a right to know if an ambassador makes disparaging or homophobic contents. They could have done their own due diligence. I'm just saying.
Yes. I do agree, dear sir.
They also have a right to know that Jessa is connected to a cult that promotes corporal punishment, submission of women, racism, and total authority of men. We appreciate Native's quick response. They agree that Jessa does not align to
Who
what
is
their
we,
brand stood
Catherine?
for, because based on what we did. Then there's this wonderful little line here that's kind of like self-aware wolf territory.
Self-aware wolf. I like this.
For those claiming this interferes with Jessa's work, let me be clear about something. There are plenty of conservative brands she can partner with and do advertising for on her channel. However, she should not be profiting off a company that promotes inclusivity when she promotes the exact opposite. Yeah, this doesn't work as a defense. She has a lot of potential other contracts she could sign. It is not a defense to tortious interference.
Give it to her straight. Indeed.
She has this contract, a contract she's entitled to, which you have interfered with. So this does, in fact, interfere with Jessa's work. Your argument that she has lots of other brands she could coordinate with, even if true, does not change the statement that you're interfering with her work. You are. You're interfering with this exact contract. That's the contract you're interfering with, which is part of her work. She might be able to get other work. She might be able to get replacement work, but you're interfering with this work, and that's a problem. Now, normally in a tortious interference with contract, we have additional problem, right? We have an additional problem of showing that the interference induced the induced the break of the contract.
But is it difficult to prove? I think
right?
not.
That's normally where we get into problems, right? Because just because people did a tortious interference does not mean that tortious interference caused the contract break, right? It's post hoc ergo propter hoc, right? It's after that, therefore, because of it is causality rather than correlation, right? Thing A happened, thing B happened, thing A caused thing B. That's post hoc reasoning, right? So you normally have a problem because how do you prove that the tortious interference is the thing that caused the contract to breach? No problem. She's got us covered there too. She's got us covered there too, because she has thoughtfully included a DM from Native to her saying the following. Hi, thanks so much for reaching out. We weren't aware of some of these details, but our team is currently looking into it. As of now, we have no plans to continue working with Jessa in any capacity. We appreciate you bringing this to our attention, as you're right, this doesn't align with our values.
Yikes.
So, yeah, so Native themselves, in a DM to her, which she has shared thoughtfully, publicly, Native says, yes, it was because of the things you told us that we canceled our contract with her. That was the reason we did that.
Catherine, wow.
So, my friends, we are well on our way to a tortious interference claim.
He is quite charming. I approve.
Tortious interference with an existing contract, tortious interference with prospective contracts, and so forth and so on. Because of things she herself did, that she acknowledges in writing she did, and the company acknowledges in writing they did the things they did because of what she did. For all you guys who have been looking forever for a successful lawsuit against Katie Joy, I just would like to offer this as a potential option. I think Jessa has some plausible claims based on these representations. I think Jessa can plead out a claim of tortious interference based on all this.
Finally, there is hope.
Thank you so much for being part of the Uncivil Law family. If you enjoyed this legal education content, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow. We appreciate your continuing support. Until later, my friends, cheers and goodbye.
I like this guy. I like him a lot. Moving on. Catherine Joy never ceases to entertain us all. I shall note there is talk on Twitter of Clark Swanson asking for some information regarding the Tati Westbrook suit. I've not yet taken a dive into that as there is little information just yet. Never mind. First up, Catherine posted an old image of a Duggar in a wheelchair, claiming it was a recent photograph sent to her by a viewer. She was met with backlash in comments, some pointing out the article is a year old, while others pointed that ambulatory wheelchair users do exist. But, more interesting is Derick Dillard appearing in her comments in response to others. Well, everyone except Catherine, Queen of Defamation, Joy. She tagged him many times for comment, and was rightly ghosted. LOL. However, this did not stop her taking to her channel with an entire video as if she held an exclusive interview with the husband of Jill Duggar. Let us have a look.
Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Friday, February 11th, and I am making this video late on a Friday night because I put out
Because a Duggar extension graced you with their presence.
post on my Instagram, and I promised a video was coming. Then the piece about Josh Duggar dropped, the motion that the government filed against, in response to his motion for acquittal.
Simmer down, you nutter.
And I had to make a video, and I completely changed my format, so it took way extra time to actually film and edit. And here I am now with the video I promised, and I still didn't get to all of my Sister Wives content that I had in my pocket, along with some of the stuff that I was doing with the LDS stuff.
This is not that serious.
And the Kingstons that I've been working on all week. So someday when I have enough time, I'll get to everything. But this is something that I know you guys are going to want to know about because a lot of you saw Derick Dillard show up in my comments. So by now you should know that Derick Dillard sometimes comes onto my Instagram and will respond to comments. He'll like comments. He'll get into, I don't know, he'll kind of snap back at people, clap back or whatever. And I think for the most part, people are pretty respectful to him. And I always
Please remove your lips from the poor man's backside.
I always tell people, like, if any of the people that are coming on my page are part of the story, just be respectful to them, right? It's not easy to put yourself out there. It's not easy to feel like you have to defend yourself. So just be respectful, regardless of what you think of these people. He
Since when?
left a comment, which I told you guys about a couple days ago, and the comment was related to the Megyn Kelly interview. So Jill did this whole response yesterday where she was really angry about the judge dismissing the case, and she was taking aim at the chief, the police chief, about a personal vendetta she felt that they had, which is actually an idea that was planted by Jim Bob Duggar.
Allegedly.
He talked about this on the Megyn Kelly interview where he claimed that Kathy O'Kelly had it out for Josh, wouldn't shake Josh's hand, said she was a couple weeks from retiring and she had some things that she still wanted to take care of before she retired, and he just figured this was the thing. And the court didn't find there was any validity to that theory. And I think by now you should know that Jim Bob comes up with a lot of red herring, just out off the wall, don't make sense theories that
This sounds familiar.
indirectly smear people that are innocent. Okay. People were saying that Jill doesn't have a right to be mad about what happened, and she minimized what Josh said, and so she was on this interview, and because she did the interview, then she shouldn't be complaining because she asserted that it wasn't as big of a deal as it was, and then here she is complaining that it was, or here she is saying that it was a big deal, and there was some victim blaming going on for sure. So he showed up and he said this: "Please don't comment about things you know nothing about. We were not paid a single cent, and the whole ordeal was borderline duress and coercion."
Note the comment is toward a
We
viewer.
weren't even being paid for the show that we had to film tens of hours per week for. So what makes you think we would have received any pay or perks from this? The opposite is true. It was devastating. So think before you speak. So he was clapping back at one of my commenters who said that Jim Bob must have had a payday for the Fox News interview. So I reached out to Derick privately. I asked him publicly and he didn't respond. So then I was
We know.
like, okay, well, I'll ask him in DMs. So I sent him a message and I said, "Hey, Derick, you know, I saw you commenting on my post and I just wanted to reach out and see if you could answer this question for me." And so I flat out asked him, I said, do you know if Jim Bob was paid by Fox for the interview where he and Michelle were interviewed by Megyn Kelly? Was the family paid for that? And Derick said he had no idea. He said that anything to do with money, Jim Bob has always been very secretive from the kids. So if Jim Bob received a dime, he has no clue. So
where is the exclusive interview?
then I asked him if he could expand upon what he meant in regards to this coercion or the fact that Jill didn't do this with her, again, it was almost like against her will. I said, Jill was in this interview and she sounded very scripted and it almost sounded like she just had talking points. My question was this: did Jill have a script when she was there? She kept saying that no one forced her to be there. That was kind of the thing that kept coming to my mind. She kept saying, no one forced me to be there.
You love to share DMs. This is suspicious.
And he says, I'm pretty sure, but I honestly don't remember 100%. It was nearly 7 years ago. I do know that she was heavily coached to stay within a certain narrative.
I still fail to see how this is exclusive, as he said much of this publicly.
And I said, that seemed evident in how she spoke. And he said, I wouldn't call it voluntary. So he claimed that she was coached by Jim Bob, she and Jessa were coached by Jim Bob to specifically stay into a narrative, which the narrative was that it was mild, inappropriate touching, that they didn't know what happened to them, that Josh was the one that told his parents and they only found out about it from their parents, and that Josh was just a teen that had made a mistake and that he isn't this horrible person, and that
he literally said none of this to you.
Their parents did everything that they should do, and then they also spoke about how the documents had been released illegally, and Jessa kind of talked about how there must be some sort of vendetta against them. So the fact that he says they were coached makes me feel like, okay, all of these years, every time I've watched it, I've felt so uncomfortable because I felt like the two of them were always looking at each other like, don't say the wrong thing, don't say the right thing, don't.
You cannot attach Derick's brief and rather annoyed replies to all of this.
Be careful, do the right thing. And now it's just like, man, the lengths that he will go to try to control a narrative. I asked him if he would be able to expand upon what tactics Jim Bob used in order to influence the girls to go online and to defend to go on this interview and to defend their, The
Lie Factory is fully functional.
Their brother and the parents. And he said, nobody handcuffed her to the chair and made her speak, but he said that in terms of the truth of what all happened and what went into that day and the months leading up to it and afterwards and all of the mess that occurred around that, he said that they are planning to write a book, and so they don't want to share all of the details because they want to just put everything out in one fall swoop through a book, and they hope they can do that soon.
Translation: he did not tell you shite.
So they have a book that they would like to write where they can just share their whole experience about everything that happened, which I think would be good for them to get their truth out and to get out what they feel they need to get and to get out what they feel like they need to get out. I say this a lot when I tell you that Jim Bob is very controlling of what his kids say and do and how he likes to control their platforms and control how they use their social media. If Derick telling me privately that she was coached and coerced to do this interview and then told basically what
you have turned a few sentences into an epic novel.
I hope that makes you believe what my sources say about Jim Bob coaching his kids about what to put on their social media and how they should speak about the family and how to sort of gaslight or get away from the distractions of whatever, the bad press that's happening.
You're almost at your 10-minute mark.
It's actually scary to me how much he gaslights his own children to the point that they are willing to lie for him. To the extent that I don't even know if the kids realize that they're lying to him, and I don't know if the girls don't even realize that there's not a personal vendetta. Part of me wonders if they really believe it, or if Jim Bob has lied to them so much that they believe it because he said that. If your dad, the whole life that you've had, has been telling you something, and you were told that he's a God-fearing man and he would never lie, and he would never lead you astray. If he were to tell you, and you find that out that it was a lie, how else do you trust anything else?
Interesting coming from someone who shames the girls relentlessly for who their father is.
And then you went on TV and lied. It's actually so disconcerting if you think about it, and it's actually kind of scary. How do you trust anything that any of them say? My hope is that Jill can move forward and, find some level of happiness and can find some level of healing in all of this, and perhaps, putting a book out getting her whole story out will be a good part of that. I also hope she continues on in her therapy and continues with her disconnection
Only until you circle back to attacking her for
from the
content.
family. And it also helps me understand further why Jessa might be continuing to always be the mouthpiece for the Duggars. Like, what kind of manipulation or threats do you think he could be telling to Jessa to make her defend them constantly? Or is he giving her, you know, I'll give this to you, or I'll do that for you if you say this? Or does she just truly believe it? And why didn't Josh ever have to say anything? Why did he put his girls out up on a public platform? And to everyone that says that they had to go public, they did not have to go public.
If they hadn't, you would still be in your dungeon talking shite about Amber Portwood.
The county and the city never released their names. Their identities were redacted. Yes, you could discern who they were, but they never released their names. We never knew the details of what happened to each daughter. And those interviews were incompatible with what they said in that interview. So even though they said it was all settled and done, and they said that nothing major happened, they lied on TV for their dad.
Wow, you are really working hard at filling this video
At
with
their dad's
words.
direction, according to Derick. That's disturbing. I was actually reading an article from Deadline at the time, and Megyn Kelly had told Deadline that Jim Bob at the time was very aware that his show was on the chopping block and that something needed to be done to save the show. And so she felt like this interview was his last-ditch effort to save their show. So he hung his girls out to dry and coerced them and manipulated them to lie for him to save his show. His own daughters, who were victims of Josh, he used on national television to out themselves as victims of SA to save his show. That's despicable, if that's true.
Nice save.
Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below.
I think you are a leech on the arse of humanity. This concludes your weekly community news. I very much appreciate all of you. Without you, my channel would not be nearly as much fun. Cheers.